So tell me, what will you do when disaster strikes suddenly? Not far away, but when it happens right in the heart of where you live. Do you know the 6 essentials that will keep you alive when things get really desperate? We'll tell you right now. Those essentials are food, water, shelter, medicine, a means of self-defense, and a plan. The action plan for contingencies. If you have each of these essentials in place, then you increase your odds of surviving exponentially, so that you don't have to live like a refugee. Our motto is Prep to Action, and John, your host, will teach you everything you need to know about staying alive when things go south. So subscribe to the channel and learn how to save your own skin. We'll see you on the inside.
Fake carrots. Fake fruit. Fake. Fake. Fake grapefruits. Fake. Liar! You liar!
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Sunday Night Live. What does that mean? Well, it means we've got, let's see, at the zoo, we've got the preparedmind.club, subscribestar.com, and YouTube is here live, all of us live. Now, it is a holiday weekend. So what? It didn't change anything out there, well, except maybe some of us get an extra day off. But it didn't stop the stupid. In fact, there's plenty of stupid going on. Plenty of us to talk about what happened last week, last month, last year. What's happening this week and further on into this year in our future. Being prepared, folks. That word prepper, they tried turning it into a wacko, lunatic, conspiracy theorist, paranoid ding-dong issue. It's not. It's for everybody who is looking at what's happening and going, good golly, we better do something about this for ourselves. So having food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense with your plan is exactly what we need. Now, it's pretty easy when I say you need food. Well, of course we need food. Well, in SHTF, you can need anywhere from a week to a month to several months worth of food to get by in a serious emergency situation. Water, what does that mean? Water's everywhere. Well, you better have clean, safe to drink water. You better have enough water to clean yourself and keep sanitary conditions. We'll be talking about sanitary conditions in a little bit here when we discuss Burning Man. Let's see, food, water, shelter. Yeah, a place to live. Clothing. Yeah, proper clothing, adequate for the weather you're in, the environment you face. Medicine, that includes first aid. It includes prescription drugs. All of that. And we'll be talking more about medicine here in a little bit. Even though I'm not a doctor, neither is the FDA. Court ruling coming up, folks, having a lot to do with your safety in the next coming pandemic, which is just a couple of days away. We'll talk about that as well. And then, of course, self-defense. Self-defense, does that mean being Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris? No, it doesn't. In fact, Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris were cool. They were already the schnit when I was a kid, back in the 1970s and the 1980s. Where is the modern day Bruce Lee? Where is the modern day Chuck Norris? People are still afraid of Chuck Norris. The man's in what, his 70s, his 80s? And he's still making the earth shake from his presence. And of course, folks, you need a plan. Now, what good does a plan do in SHTF? When shit gets nasty, when it goes Mad Max, when it goes Captain Caveman, it's like, well, there's no food, there's no water, nothing's coming, I'm on my own, holy shit, what do? That's where your plan comes in. The 10-mile radius around you, the people are the most dangerous item that we face. The people. Yeah, you need food and water, but it's the people that'll kill you. So understanding who they are and what they're doing, that's key right there. So coming at you from Studio Q, we're going to put this show on the road to you guys. It is Sunday Night Live. And what does that mean? It means you get to pick the topics. Right up there is the super chat button. We've also got Venmo, we've got CashApp, and we've got PayPal for those who want to do a contribution. That is to say, you want to make a contribution to the Get the Fuck Back, the GTFB and SB Fund. You want to get your story, your topic, your thought up here for us to all to talk about. That's how you do it. That button right up there. And that is how this works. I'm going to start off the show, though. I want to start off the show with this. The city of Los Angeles, which is also a sanctuary city inside of a sanctuary state, they now want to push, press, demand that criminal charges be levied against, well, Governor Abbott of Texas. Because Texas sent illegal immigrants into California. That's interesting. California was already being invaded by illegals, and they have been for decades. It used to be a joke. I mean, they've made a movie about it called Born in East LA, man, with Cheech Marin. Now, illegals are causing so much crime in California that they're thinking of suing Governor Abbott, suing Texas, pressing criminal charges. How does Los Angeles, how does the city of Los Angeles know which illegal alien committed which crime? This is a dumbass question for the ages. Additionally, aren't they a sanctuary city within a sanctuary state? How can they complain about any of these people who have sought sanctuary and they just happen to end up in California? Yes, folks, it is stupid on parade. What a bunch of dumbasses. What do you think when you hear that LA, that California wants to get mad at others for what others have done? Is it illegal to put people on a bus and ship them into a state? Is it illegal to ship illegals into another state? Or is it illegal to allow illegals into the country and then provide them with, well, taxpayer-funded services, including food, shelter, and medicine? See, in California, they'll take your money, whether you like it or not, at gunpoint if need be, and give it to illegals and then complain, right? All they're doing is looking at this as an opportunity to sue and try and press criminal charges. In other words, make political hay. And what a bunch of dumbasses. Truly, truly, truly. All right, in the background, we've got Jolene. She's a little bit hungover. We got Uman. He's never hungover. And me, well, I've got a bottle of scotch right here. 18-year Glenlivet. And for every $50 or bigger super chat donation, that'll buy me a shot of scotch. It'll make sure that in the prepared bunker, I've got plenty of tuna fish, Spam, rice, and beans. You know, food. Because if there's an interruption in food or water or electricity or gas, things are going to get nasty. So thank you for looking out for me that way. We've got a lot to talk about. Now, right off the bat, we got Chin Music stepping in with a 2223. That's right. A 223 super chat donation. And he ended up going through Venmo. And here is his comment. He's right out the gate, first off the mark. And he says, John, can't join in today. This is Chin Music. He says, John, I can't join in today. Been super busy at work. Just want to keep up the support. Beware of the left. What makes them so dangerous right now is they are in control and out of control at the same time. Peace to the Prepared Mind family. I'll tell you what, Chin, I appreciate the continuing support, and I know about the work thing, man. I get it. It seems like you bust your ass and then you bust your ass some more, whether it's paying your own bills or helping other people, either with work or with money, whatever it takes. It's a never-ending job. So thank you very much for all that you do. I know it's appreciated. I know it. It is much appreciated. All right. I don't know if anyone's noticed the sound is a little different. We've got some new office equipment here that's been donated to Aquatic Adventures, and we're just happen to be borrowing it here for the Prepared Mind. So take that. Anyways, yeah, it's getting its trial run tonight. The new, shall we say, studio gear. So let's have some fun. Let's have a lot of fun. Man, of course, has got the blue wrench, but yes, we've got a full set of staff. What do you want to talk about? Super chat donation will get you on the board. Let's start, before I get into the next story and the super chat donations and questions and comments and thoughts, what you want to talk about. Let's see what Man wants to discuss. He has this one. It is now, some folks are claiming that they won't let any people into Burning Man because a bunch of folks are exhibiting Ebola-like symptoms: boils, vomiting, hemorrhaging, which means bleeding out your nose, your ears, your skin, your eyes. Ooh, yeah. Man says, couldn't possibly just be from a bunch of dirty hippies living in unsanitary conditions. Okay, folks, Burning Man. Burning Man. What Burning Man is this, it's kind of like, it's been going on for decades. Burning Man is held in the Black Rock Desert of extreme Northern California / border of Nevada. And they go way out there into this desert, thousands and even tens of thousands of stinking hippies. They make the trek out there. They come from as far away as, well, Seattle and Vancouver, Canada, as far away as Los Angeles in Central California. They come from as far away as Colorado and further. And folks, when I lived in extreme Northern California, every year I'd have to put up with these Burning Man freaks driving through my town, trying to get there, making their pilgrimage so they can go out in the desert. And there's no sanitary conditions to speak of. You just go park your pile of shit, car, bus, RV, trailer, and you live like a stinking, smelly, filthy, rotting human being. Now, I have heard that it's not that bad. I've heard that, well, it's okay. It's just people out there living a different lifestyle. And I'm like, yeah, okay, a lifestyle with no food, no water brought in. Let's see. yeah, gangbangs with whores in tents who are there just for that, making themselves available. Yeah. No porta potties, no sanitary conditions. Oh, no. Some people bring them. Oh, really? Okay. Well, after 500 people use one, how nice is that? Anyways, to me, they were always just disgusting, filthy hippies. Oh, no, John, there's doctors and dentists, people with degrees, people who are in business and executive government positions. I'm like, oh, okay. So they abandon success, good health, so that they can go out into the desert and act like a bunch of filthy, disgusting pigs for a weekend, a week, 2 weeks. Burning Man. Okay, then. Well, this year, they got rained on big time, turned it into Muddy Man. Torrential tropical rains came in and got everyone wet. Well, you want your Woodstock? You want everyone to get rained on, flop around in the mud? Well, enjoy your festival. And then wind came in and battered the shit out of these freaks, right? And then they froze. And folks, up in that area, you can get, it's typical. It's not unusual to get a summer freeze. Up there, I got snow in June, July, August. September, any month out of the year, if you got a storm come through, it could be a snowstorm. It could be rain. You just never, ever know. So, stupid hippies. Boo-hoo-hoo. They want to save the world by being a bunch of, how do I put this again? Just a bunch of hedonistic freaks. Now, back to Uman's comment. Now that I've described to you how 60, 70, 80, up to 100,000 smelly hippies living in the desert with no water and no sanitation, let's get that back up here. What were the symptoms they exhibited? Oh, yeah, Ebola-like symptoms. Boils on their skin. Vomiting, which is dysentery, unsanitary, walking around in the sloppy mud, which is probably full of urine and stuff, and then hemorrhaging, bleeding. Well, Ebola-like symptoms. What else are hippies known for? Well, they used to be like, man, you tell the man, no way, dude. But now hippies are left-wing lunatics who say, better get your Jim Jones juice. You better get your booster. All right. Take your weakened immune systems out into the desert. Expose yourself to all manner of filth and unsanitary conditions. And you end up with boils, vomiting, and hemorrhaging. Yay, hippies. And folks, I really don't mind if people want to live an alternative lifestyle. I really don't. But this is what you get now. People can't get in. People can't get out. They're trapped. They're stuck. They're sunk in the mud. That's what happens when you go out in the desert, you bunch of dumbasses. And then, well, who blew it? Was this tropical storm, Hurricane Hillary, that dumped all this bad weather on them? Well, how about that shit, huh? Comments, any other comments or thoughts out there on Burning Man and what happens to a bunch of dumbass hippies? Isn't it funny? Thank you, Jolene. Isn't it funny how every time they try socialism, every time they try living as green weenies, things go bad. Things go really bad. Whether it's, hey, man, we ought to open the border and let people in. Then they're like, oh, shit, man, there's a lot of thievery and a lot of violence. And, whoa, what happened? Right? We hate the cops, man. All cops are bastards. Defund them. How about just clean up the policy? No, man, defund them. Okay, now there's no cops. Man, get the cops back here, man. We got too much violence from these illegals we let over. These are fucking hippies. Stupid. Left-wing hippies. And don't worry, they vote. That's our problem. There's your problem. All right. Now, it's Sunday Night Live, folks. Sunday Night Live. It's Labor Day, which, by the way, is a day set up to really make, communists feel better. It's not really an American holiday like 4th of July or Memorial Day or Veterans Day. It's more of a day set up that was supposed to pacify, mollify, and gratify socialist worker parties. So here we are. I think I'm now ready to talk about Niger. Several weeks ago, Niger had a military coup. I love how they give a name to it. It's the junta. Monster. The military has ordered police to expel the French ambassador. That's right, folks. It was told that by today, Sunday the 3rd, that the ambassador was told to get the fuck out of the country. Now, up in France, remember, Niger is down in Africa. Niger means black, in case you didn't know. Down in Africa, Niger. Up in France is Macron. Well, President Macron he's questioning, folks, get this, he's questioning the legitimacy of the leadership in Niger because, well, it was a coup d'etat. It was a military takeover of a government, and they made themselves the bosses. Now, isn't that interesting how, like in America, when the people want someone like Trump, let's say, and they vote in Trump and vote record numbers for a sitting president, but somehow Joe Biden gets 91 million votes, hardly campaigning, barely campaigning, and still managed to get more votes than anyone has ever gotten in the country. And he's unloved, not to mention unwashed. If anyone is going to question the legitimacy of a government, it ought to be us, the people. Oh, but don't worry, folks. They've got the government, the junta of the U.S. government in D.C. It's got control of our country, doesn't it? That's right. That is correct. The deep state liberals hate America, and the deep state controls America. Yep, another great thumbnail from Mr. T. That's who they are, the technocratic junta. Wow. Now, let's continue, folks. Macron has decided that he is going to not only question them, but he is threatening a response if military or diplomatic facilities are targeted. So, France, which isn't Niger, France is France and Niger is Niger, they have military equipment, military men, and a military base down there. They've been told to get the hell out of the country, and they won't. And now they're saying that if that or diplomatic facilities, what is a diplomatic facility? Well, isn't that called an embassy? So if the French embassy or the military base are targeted, that is to say blown up, shot up, invaded, or something else, France is threatening a response. So France is the new United States government? France is now world police? Or is France a colonial invader who is still keeping its meat hooks inside the country of Niger? When they're losing control, they've lost control, and they're about to be expelled. And now they're saying there's going to be a response. Really? This is quite interesting. I thought we were told that if an outside country invades another country to force its will upon them, then that's bad, right? Isn't that what they said Russia is doing in Ukraine? That they're coming in from the outside and taking part of it for themselves? Isn't that what Russia is supposed to have done, is gone into eastern Ukraine and taken it for themselves? And so the whole world hates Russia, but we're supposed to love France. You see, there's been a dirty little stinking secret for decades and decades, going back past before I was born. France treats its colonies like shit. You oppose the government, they'll kill you. Have you ever met a French Foreign Legion member? They are like, well, fucks, they're like Wagner, the Russian private military contractor. They're like Blackwater, the American private military contractor. The French Foreign Legion's job is to go in and find rabble-rousers and slaughter and murder them. If you don't believe that, then go find someone who's in or has been in the French Foreign Legion and ask them. I've taken the time to do that and got quite an eye-opening story. The world is not really a pretty place, folks. Most of what we see on the news is a bunch of sugar-coated, cinnamon-sweet bullshit. There it is. Okay. Now, this is your show. It is Sunday Night Live. If you have something you want to talk about, you have something you want to say, you have an idea up here, you want to share it with others, you want to wake up the world, you want to make your case, make your statement, tell us a joke. I don't give a fuck. It's your show, and this is your chance. The rest of the week, you don't get a say. The rest of the week, it's all inner circle private stuff. This is your chance on Sunday Night Live to reach thousands of people. And we will reach thousands of people by the time this is all done. Okay. Now, the next big story I want to roll over has to do with Ukraine. Zelensky is running out of men. Ukraine is running out of men. Nobody wants to go fight this war. Nobody wants to get thrown into the meat grinder, right? The Russian meat grinder on the front, where they just send troops in, ill-equipped, ill-trained, ill-prepared, on missions that are ill-planned. And they're losing, folks, incredible numbers of men. So what's Ukraine's response? We want to go throughout Europe and round up draft dodgers and send them back to Ukraine and force them to go fight. Can you imagine that? Let's pick a state. The state we're going to pick is California. The city we're going to pick is Los Angeles. Imagine if China and Russia said, look, we're invading California. And we were told as Americans that we need to go to California and give California back to the stinking, stupid, liberal, Democrat, socialist hippies that are running that fucking state. And so the rest of the country has to send its young men down to Los Angeles to fight Russians and Chinese there. Would you want your sons and daughters to go down to Los Angeles to fight, to win back Los Angeles for the hippies, for the communists, for the socialists, for the left-wing ding-dongs of California? Nobody would want to do that. Why? It's like, well, you asked for it, Los Angeles. You've wanted it. You wanted to be a socialist state, and now here they are. The Chinese communists are there. They're going to give you what you wanted, everything you've been asking for. Who would want to go there and fight for that? So in Ukraine, who would want to go into the military and go fight the Russians in eastern Ukraine, who are there because they were invited by the people of eastern Ukraine, the people who were being brutalized by the Azov battalion of Zelensky? They were in there committing war crimes, folks, war crimes. Isn't that special? So Ukraine needs more men for the meat grinder. So they're going to go round up draft dodgers. Isn't that interesting? The war is so fucking popular, no one wants to fight it. And there's so few people left, now they have to go look for deserters, draft dodgers. Can you imagine how many Californians would flee the state if they were being invaded? And then California says, oh, no, you got to get back here and fight. Who's going to fight for Gavin Newsom? Well, the same people who are going to fight for Zelensky, they're all out, folks. But this is where we're at. Is it time for Zelensky to sit down at the table and try and negotiate some peace? Well, in the old days, folks, that's just what would happen. Now, see, Putin hasn't said he's going to go invade Kiev. He's just said, hey, we're here to liberate these states, to protect these states, these new Russian federal republics. We're going to protect them from the Azov battalion coming in here and murdering people, murdering men, women, and children. Who they're using their cluster bombs on, who they're using other bombs and drones to attack. It's a fucking mess over there, folks. It is a giant SHTF scenario. I'm glad we don't have that here in America. I'm absolutely astounded that people think it's a good idea to support it over there. Now, if Putin just sits there in the new federal states, the new Russian Federation states, Zelensky doesn't have to quit, does he? He can just continue to use terror attacks against the people there. But what if Putin were to start a blitzkrieg and head for Kiev, bombing the shit out of everything along the way? Then would Zelensky decide, whoa, shit, if he's going to come take Kiev, now we've got a battle. Who is left to fight? Folks, who is left to fight? Right, the Ukraine military, they don't have much left to fight with. In other words, they're expending and expelling all the goodwill the world has for them, and they're expending all the ammunition and rounds down in that area. Russia can just drive straight on through and just cream them, go all the way to Kiev. Then would Zelensky sue for peace? That may be what needs to happen in order for peace to be had. Because sitting back, Zelensky's just going to wait for more missiles, more bombs, more rockets, more tanks, more helicopters. And then as he gets them from the United States government, as he gets them from Poland and Germany, they'll just continue to push and throw all of this hardware at Russia. It's a giant freaking mess. But who wants it? Well, let's see. I think Mitt Romney and Lindsey Graham, they think it's the best money they've ever spent. Best money America has ever spent. You know, that's actually pretty awful if you think about it. Pretty damn awful. Well, folks, here we are on a holiday weekend. 305 people live on Sunday Night Live. And here we go. We're going to dig in some more. It's your chance. Hit the super chat button if you got something to say, and we'll talk about it. Otherwise, I'm going to go through my items, things that I found interesting over the weekend. But this is your chance. People are going to watch this video throughout the week, scratch their heads and go, wonder what all this is about, all of this zoo stuff. And people are finding out every week, folks. Here's something I'm sure you didn't know about. Federal court, folks, a United States government, that's right, federal government, has decided that they would rule that the Food and Drug Administration has abused its authority. Wow, well, a political bureaucracy, a federal bureaucracy in the United States has abused its authority by telling the people what they can and can't do? No shit. The court has ruled that the Food and Drug Administration abused its authority with anti-Ivermectin messaging to Americans. What does that mean? Well, remember when they were told that horse paste is bad? Horse paste is dangerous. Horse paste is ineffective. Come on, America. Stop taking horse paste. Federal court, someone sued. Someone came out and sued. Doctors, citizens, scientists have sued the FDA, and they have now won. The court said this: the Food and Drug Administration is not a physician. Physician, that's right. A physician is a person, a doctor who is trained in medicine. A bureaucratic administration is not a physician. It's a bureaucratic administration. It's made of a bunch of political hacks who may or may not have any medical experience or, shall we say, medical practice. They're bureaucrats. And I guess, according to the federal court, and this is what I think we should all take home on this. The FDA is not a physician and cannot tell us what to do or not do. Think about it. That means no bureaucracy has the right to tell us what to do, because none of these bureaucracies are physicians. The USDA, United States, Department of Agriculture, the Food and Drug Administration. How about the CDC? The CDC is a bureaucracy. They claim there's doctors within it, but who makes the real decisions? Can the CDC Can they tell us with messages what is and isn't safe? Can they force us to do anything? Can they force us to take their Jim Jones juice? I don't think so. What do you think? Can they say you're not allowed to have horse paste? Well, that's not how the rules are set up. Doctors, they're the physicians. And if you got a doctor who's wanting to save lives, then they should be doing what they think is best for people. Horse paste, ivermectin. What's the other one? HCQ. Remember when we weren't allowed even to say the letters? What was that stuff called? Hydroxychloroquine? Hydroxychloroquine is a drug that was originally designed to treat people with malaria, which is a fatal disease. Fatal disease. You get malaria, you're going to fucking die. You get the common cold, you're not going to die. You'll get the sniffles, you'll get the sneezes, you'll get the cough, but you won't die from it. Well, maybe a few people, but that always happens. But malaria, that makes you miserable and kills everyone. So isn't that fascinating? Isn't that interesting? Hydroxychloroquine is strong enough to kill malaria, but it's not really good with the common cold. Or is it? Horse paste. Interesting how this works, folks. All at the same time as the country is now gearing up quite quietly, in secret, or at least in stealth. The country is getting ready for another pandemic outbreak of none other than, well, cerveza bug. Round 2, folks, or round 5, or round 10, whatever round you want to call it. They're going to use it for a lockdown. Well, it'll be lockdown number 2. That's right. The federal government is pushing mask mandates. Corporations are starting to require masks. I took a trip this weekend, and hey, I saw employees with one organization wearing masks. What the hell is wrong with you people? It didn't work the first time. It didn't work the last time. It won't work the next time. Masks. I got word from Orlando up north that stores are now putting out limits on what you can buy. You can only buy so many of this and so much of that, and you're done. You're not allowed to buy more. Well, what do they call that? What do they call that when you're not allowed to have more than what they say? It's called rationing. Why are they rationing? Why are they setting up their rationing rules again? Why are they setting up masks? Oh, yeah, because Biden came out last week and said, well, they have a new and improved Jim Jones juice. And this time it's going to work. Really? This time it's going to work. Well, we were told last time that it was safe and effective. Not only was it effective, that it was safe. And this time it's going to work, huh? How can they be so sure? I tell you what, I'll take my chances with getting it. I'll take my chances with treating it with horse paste. Horse paste. I've got a nice supply of horse paste just waiting. In fact, I heard a world-renowned economist refer to it as horse paste. I was shocked. I laughed my ass off. Oh, by the way, 40 minutes into the show, hit that thumbs up. Do it now. Hit the thumbs up. Share the internet address. It's up there. Share that internet address so that others can get the message, folks, and see what is going on and what is coming. They need to start the show at the beginning and wake the hell up. They need food. They need water. They need shelter. They need clothing. They need medicine. They need a means of self-defense. You need solar powers. That's a good idea. You need radios, communication. That's a good idea. You need a generator. There's a great idea. There's a lot of stuff to being prepared, folks. Because when they bring the system down for their little games, it's going to get nasty. It's going to get nasty. Wait for it. Expect it. It's coming. It is absolutely coming. Now, A lot of people say, hey, you guys are a bunch of conspiracy theorists. Really? Am I now? You guys are a bunch of political hacks. Really? Am I now? In Louisiana, which has had its largest ever wildfire in history, we were told climate change bad, global warming, rising sea levels, look out. Well, in the case of Louisiana, folks, state full of swamps. Louisiana, from where I'm at right now, is to the west. Largest ever wildfire in history. It's been confirmed that this fire has been started by an arsonist or arsonists. That is to say, human beings going out and starting fires intentionally. That's the cause, folks. Did we or did we not at the Prepared Mind Network tell you that arson is to blame for all of these fucking fires? I don't believe for a second the fires in Hawaii were started by lightning. They weren't started by electrical wires because the electrical company said, no, we turned off the power because of the high winds. Hawaii, folks, is like a very wet garden. Why it caught on fire and burned is just tragic. It's beyond tragic. In fact, I had a hamburger. I had a cheeseburger in paradise at Jimmy Buffett's Cheeseburger in Paradise on Front Street in Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii, back in 2018. I've got a great picture of me sitting upstairs eating a giant hamburger on the second story, windows open to the Pacific breeze blowing as the sun was setting. It was just a great evening I spent with my son. So years ago, folks, back in 2018. Years ago, back in 2018. Or was it 2017? Shit, I can't remember. Anyways, it wasn't carbon that caused Louisiana to burn. It was an asshole arsonist Democrat. I think Hawaii was started by asshole arsonist Democrats. The fires in California, the fires in Oregon were started by asshole arsonist Democrats. In Greece, they've had a grease fire, which again is just kind of funny because, well, you get a grease fire in your kitchen, you're in big trouble. Well, they got a grease fire in Europe. Largest ever wildfires in Europe to ever exist. And, well, Greece has arrested, what is it, 60 or over 80 separate individual arsonists. It's not climate change, folks. It's not climate change. It's political change. It's crisis caused by these just left-wing socialist scumbags. I can't say enough bad things about them. I really can't. I really can't. These people are just the worst amongst us. The worst. The worst amongst us. I mean, in fact, let the story continue. In Texas, it now has its own wildfire that is just raging out of control. It has now consumed over 3,800 acres, folks. As this weekend is going, this is happening right now. And there are evacuations underway. Do you think it's carbon emissions from cars? Do you think it's global warming? Or do you think it's another Democrat arsonist in Texas? Apparently, arson is a very popular way to get your political objectives met. If I'm going to put my money on anything, folks, it's arson. Now, for, I don't know, 100, 200, 500 years, people have realized how dangerous fires are. London is burned to the ground, folks, at least twice over the last 2,000 years. Chicago burned, the Great Chicago Fire. They claim, all right, that it was a cow that kicked over a lantern that started a fire that burned out of control. right? Fire has been such a big deal that we have fire codes and fire sprinklers, fire trucks, fire systems. We have chemicals that put out fires, water that puts out fires. There's a lot of fires being put out. Isn't it amazing that for some reason in 2023, the whole world is starting to catch fire? Understand in SHTF, there's a lesson here for us all. That arsonists will use fire to get what they want. Back in 2020, left-wingers, the Black Lives Matter people, BLM, which stands also for burn, loot, and murder, they set fires to cars, police stations, courthouses, private residences, private businesses. They set fire to everything they could. They tried setting fire to policemen. And here's where we're at. Here's where we're at, folks. Believe it, it's real. It's real. This is who they are, and this is what they want. Look around. This is what they want. And the hypocrites in charge, the people who have run this country into the ground, well, they're still in power or very close to it. Remember Nancy Pelosi? She was the Speaker of the House. And she looks like the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. She has decided that she is going to smear you, your name, your reputation, your intellect, your patriotism. She is smearing Trump supporters because, folks, we are not respecting, apparently, the, quote, dignity and worth of every person. The fuck is she talking about? What is she talking about? What does Nancy Pelosi have, right, in her bag of evil tricks? She's going after Trump and Trump supporters. And she says that we, all of us, we're people who would probably never get, what do we just say? How do we say this? We don't respect the lives of others. This is coming from a woman who supports abortion up to the day of birth. That's what she wants. What does she want? She wants her life respected. They want their policies, folks. Understand, they want their way of life, their thinking to be respected. Whether it's LGBTQ or whether it's their version of science, their politics. See, everything they want means they're doing it for the right reason. And everything you want means you're not doing it for the right reason. And so therefore they can criticize you. At some point, at what point, I want to ask you this. At what point will these hypocritical fools in Washington, D.C. come after you and me? Right? They want us to respect every life while they don't respect ours. Can you hear the hypocrisy in this old bitch? We're not respecting the life of everyone. Apparently, we're not respecting enough of what other people want. Yet they've told us that we need to be kicked out of stores. We need to be denied access to hospitals and medical treatment. Right? Remember that? If you don't take the Jim Jones juice, if you don't wear your mask, if you don't obey, and they looked at kids and said, put your masks on while parents posed with pictures. The parents, I'm sorry, not parents, the politicians. They weren't wearing masks. No, they weren't. But kids were forced into their masks. It's about what they want. It has nothing to do with truth or fact or anything else. I'm going to treat myself to a Glenlivet 18. Don't mind if I do. There's no super chat donation out there for this one. I just think I fucking earned it. After putting up with all the bullshit from these people on the left, you and I, we've earned it. Prost, cheers, salut, and semper fi. I was fine until Nancy Pelosi's name came up. And that hypocrite is telling us that we need to respect the lives of others. After we've been told that we need to be locked up in concentration camps, that we need to get our mind right, that we need to be re-educated, that we need to be fired, canceled, silenced, robbed of our rights, and we need to give everything we've got to the illegals pouring into the country. That's what they believe, folks. That's what they believe. Hit that super chat button if you've got something you want to talk about. That's right. Hit that button if you got something you want to talk about. Make a donation, get your statement on the screen, and we're going to talk, folks. We're going to talk. There's a lot to discuss. All right, let's see who we got. Jolene, what do we got up there? Dun, 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 dun. It is Yorktown with a $9.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Yorktown. And he's got no comment, got no statement. I'll tell you what, dude, get your comment, get your statement into the message boards, and we'll go over it. He says, thank you. Rumor has it that a severe shortage of munitions is imminent. I'll tell you what. Rumor has it. We've got a lot of interesting rumors out there, Yorktown. One of the rumors we've had, well, leaked by the Pentagon and leaked by the president himself, is that they have given so much ammunition, so many munitions, as in bombs, rockets, grenades, missiles. We've given so much explosives to Ukraine that the country is short. Our own military is now short of what they're supposed to have. That's incredible to me. Why did it have to get that bad? Well, I know it's gotten that bad. Now, what does that mean for me and you? Right? Every time I go out and look, I can get ammunition. I can get ammunition. But what about our military? Does that mean that we are, that we're in a, how do we say this, exposed position? That our country is at risk now, our national security? That's what I think it means. Rumor has it, and also the government has confirmed it, leaking some strategic information out through the public. What a world, folks, when the government tells our enemies that, they're doing a shitty job. Now, thank you, Yorktown, very much. Great super chat donation. I appreciate that. Moving along. Got a little message here from Mr. Ooman. I was discussing the fact that, well, we should respect all lives. We should respect all lives, and the opinions of these brilliant politicians. Yeah, fuck them. How many people were fired from hospitals for not taking the Jim Jones juice? How many doctors, how many nurses, how many, non-medical staff? How about the jail system, the prison system? How about government buildings? How about private corporations? How many people were fired? How many contractors who provide the government, provide businesses with manufactured goods? How many of them were threatened with losing their contracts, losing their business, if they didn't comply and make their employees, using private businesses to make their employees demand that they go get the Jim Jones juice? What a fucking racket. That's right, folks. They did that. Now what's going on? Well, up in Maine, folks, the hospital fired nurses for refusing to get the Jim Jones juice. They're now asking them, begging them to come back to work for them. I'll tell you what, if I was one of these nurses, I'd say, you know what? I want an apology letter for you for what you've done. And I promise that I won't sue you. Yeah, I promise I won't sue you. You know what? Fuck them. I would teach them a lesson. I would get that apology letter for violating my rights. And then I would, folks, after telling them, go ahead and trust me since I trusted you, and then go sue the pants off of them. Isn't that incredible, folks? It's good to know that nurses out there and doctors out there fought this crap the whole way through. Little businesses, big businesses out there said, you know what? We don't need the government. We don't need this corporation and that corporation if they want to play that game. It's amazing how many stupid motherfuckers out there pushed their employees to get a drug that wasn't available. Do you remember? Do you remember that what is available on the street, the mRNA crap, is totally experimental? But the one that was authorized by the government, that they said was safe and effective, was a completely separate drug, and it was not available publicly. But they would hold up that piece of paper. They would hold up that piece of paper and say, hey, it's certified right here. It's good stuff. You can take it. That's the one they said was good and safe. But no one could get it. So when you showed up to get your Jim Jones juice, you didn't get that. You got the experimental crap. And then they would just ask you, have you been vaxxed? Have you been vaxxed? It's just the whole thing is a sham and a lie. And I find it fascinating that people who are exposed to unsanitary conditions are developing Ebola-like symptoms. Is that what's going to happen in Los Angeles? Is that what's going to happen in New York City? Is that what's going to happen in Chicago? If the system falls apart, things become unsanitary, are people going to start getting Ebola-like symptoms? I guess we're going to find out, right? We're rolling up on the 1 hour mark, folks. 1 hour mark. And we've got great attendance here. 350 people live. Yet, I'm going to tell you right now, in the last 4 years of doing Super Chats on Sunday Night Live, since starting Sunday Night Live, I don't think I've ever seen fewer Super Chat donations ever. Ever. And we've gotten Chin Music and Mr. York. That's it. What is going on in this country? We've got people who want to know about what is going on. At the same time, people don't have the money to donate to keep the channel going. What the hell is going on, folks? Is the economy that bad out there? Is money that tight out there? I'm going to say yes, it is. I've been watching this for weeks and weeks and weeks and even months as we've slowly slowed down. Yet interest in the topics is continuing and even growing. Hit the thumbs up. That doesn't cost you anything. Talk in the comments down below. That doesn't cost you anything, but it helps people. The whole point and purpose of this show is to help people wake up and get prepared. Wake up and get prepared. Donna Brazil, I don't know if you know who she is. She is a giant Democrat mouthpiece. And she's upset. She's sounding the alarm, folks, because Trump is becoming more popular, even though he's being indicted. And she says this is her quote. I've never seen anything like this. It's a movement. Oh, it's a movement, huh? Actually, a movement is a big turd, Donna. What this is a serious rejection of Washington, D.C., the deep state, bureaucratic takeover of the country and corporate mismanagement and abuse in this country. That's what this is. It's a serious rejection of that. And it is affecting our economy. It's affecting the amount of money that we have as people to pay our bills, to support the things we want to do. It's getting tighter and tighter by the day. Fascinating to see it. Fascinating to hear it. Are we rolling into, finally, the Great Depression or Great Depression-like circumstances? What was one of the big markers of the Great Depression, folks? One of the great markers was unemployment. Unemployment, I believe, is at 24%. Man, help me if I'm wrong. The Great Depression, I think unemployment was 24%. That is, 1 out of every 4 capable workers could not find work. Could not find work. What do we have going on right now? Before the weekend, before Labor Day weekend, Joe Biden, dumbass Joe, let's go Brandon, stood in front of the microphone and announced the worst employment numbers we've had in a hell of a long time. There's a rejection of Washington, D.C. because times are hard. There was rejection of Washington, D.C. because it's hypocritical. There's a rejection of Washington, D.C. because of what's happening to the country. That's right. Great Depression, unemployment was 25%, folks. 25%. That is awful. But folks, back then, there was no place for anyone to hide. People were out on their ass, out on the street. They were walking from town to town looking for work because of what politicians did. And what caused the Great Depression, folks? Well, just prior to that was the Roaring 20s, when they were playing games with the money and the banking system, the investments. What have we got now? The same damn thing. They're playing games. They're printing a bunch of money. They're just throwing it around. They're investing it in Wall Street in dangerous ways. Well, but look at the Dow, John. It's almost 36,000. It's right up there, man. It's near its all-time highs. Yeah, but what companies? What companies are doing well? Right? The big ones. Apple, Amazon, Facebook, yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. Look out, folks. And there is going to be a serious rejection of Washington, D.C. and the bureaucracy that's going to extend far beyond Washington, D.C. Right? What we're seeing here on the Prepared Mind with Super Chat donations is something interesting, right? It's a foretelling of things to come. There's just not as much money out there. We're having a hard time supporting all the things that we want to do. I myself am working, 3 fucking jobs now, trying to make ends meet, doing everything you can. That's what's happening. Do everything you can, folks. Put yourself right in front of work and try and get it. And I live in an area that is not depressed, folks. Right? And if you live in an area that's doing well, your cost of living is higher. Joe Biden thinks that's fucking cute. I went to the store earlier today to buy food and was like, holy cow, the prices were astounding in a negative way. Donna Brazil says, I have never seen anything like this. It's a movement because people want Trump back. Even though he's been indicted. In fact, that makes it even worse. His popularity is growing because people want the Trump years back. And I have some bad news for everybody. Even if Trump wins, the good times don't just return. Once they bring this big, giant jumbo jet of bullshit in for a landing and skid it, right? How do you get a broken plane to take off? Well, you have to stop and fix all the problems first. And then you can take off. All right, Jolene, what are we doing next? Who wants to step up and have something to say? It is right out of Mexico. Our good buddy south of the border, Carlos Granados. And he has 223 Mexican pesos. Mexican doleros. He says, hey, the cost of living in Kami, California is so high. U.S. citizens are coming here to live in Mexican border cities and cross daily to work. This is important. The Mexican peso has appreciated 25% to the U.S. dollar. From 23 pesos to the dollar down to 17 pesos to the dollar. Enjoy your holiday. Well, thank you, Carlos. This is quite interesting, is it not? What's so interesting? How many of us were aware? How many of us were aware that the peso has gained strength on the U.S. dollar? Oh, but the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency. Really, it is it? It's so strong that it's lost 25% to the peso, and that people are going south of the border to live. Well, they've been doing that for a long time. And south of the border to work. Now, that's pretty fucking interesting. Right there. Crossing daily to work. Why is that? I can take a big stab, folks. I can take a guess at that. Whether we're talking about Mexicali or Tijuana, the border towns, the businesses that left California, left Arizona, left Texas, go over the border and open up their factories over there because they don't have all the OSHA bullshit. They don't have all of the labor laws, all of the restrictions. They don't have all of the bureaucratic red tape. They don't have all of the taxes in Mexico. So the companies go down there right across the border and they can make the same materials cheaper. It's just like China, only it's across the border. Now, also understand that these more, shall we say, technical jobs that have left America and go elsewhere, well, it takes smart people down there to run them. So, yeah, they hire Americans. They hire competent people from around the world to show up at their factories and work. That's saying a lot, folks, when you can go down to Mexico and make good money. It says a lot when you can go to Mexico, folks, and live as well or better than you can here. Now, me personally, I'm not a big fan of Mexico. I don't speak the language. I don't. But I love Mexicans, the good ones, and they know who they are. And I don't love the shitheads, those that would, well, it would put a knife in your back for $5. Crazy stuff, folks. Crazy world. But you know what? It's just the world that we live in now. It truly is. Thank you, Carlos, very much. Jolene, who wants to step up next? Who has something to say? And it's Jay Harrison with a super chat donation. And he says, hey, John, thank you for all you do, the information you gather and bring to us twice a day. Your hard work is noticed and appreciated. Thank you, Jay Harrison. I know it is, man. You guys are great. And you're welcome, and thank you for being here as well. A great $5 super chat donation. But yeah, it's incredible. I've been watching our numbers go up, even though YouTube wants to kill us and bring us down. They want to silence us and say we're misinformation and disinformation. Well, I'll tell you what, right? You listen to a broadcast, whether it's my morning Zero Dark 30 where I touch on one topic, or the afternoon for any given day where we talk about everything I can squeeze in 30 minutes and everything you guys want to talk about for 30 minutes. And then, of course, Sunday Night Live. Right? Listen to what we talk about, and then listen to what, well, the mainstream media talks about. They talk about nothing. It is nothing. The news media in America is garbage. But, hey, that's just my opinion. What do you think, right? Now, what I do know is that viewership on CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS It's going down the tubes, lower and lower and lower. And then they do what? They take the most popular guy they've ever had, Tucker Carlson, and throw him away. That just tells us there's something else going on. Something else happening out there. Incredible stuff, folks. Now, let's step into this, right? They're causing these American corporations their own problems. They're somehow, all of them are coordinating. By all of them, I mean, what, 90%? Are coordinating with one another to make sure we get our Jim Jones juice, that we can't get the things we need unless we kiss their ass. That, well, it's bad to be Christian, but it's good to be anything else. And it's bad to be a white male, but it's good to be anything else. Best Buy. You guys have probably heard of that. Well, an employee went out to say, you know what, you can't do what you're doing. And he exposed a Best Buy manager's ban on Christian symbols at the workplace. So, in retribution, he has since been fired. Well, he's fighting back with his lawsuit. What happened, folks? We have to be tolerant of other people's beliefs. We have to be tolerant, and you can't be prejudicial. You cannot discriminate based on someone's gender or religious beliefs or country of origin or their race. You're not allowed to discriminate, but now they can, folks. Now everything is about discrimination. We can't have anything. You can't have nice stuff. This is where we're at. This is exactly where we're at. I mean, get this. And by the way, we're at an hour and 15 minutes on into the show here. An hour and 15 minutes into the show. And we've got still a ton of stuff to talk about. Now, I just mentioned Best Buy. That's in America. Over in Finland, we got another problem there. They're going to have a verdict. That is a court decision here pretty quick. Going to have a verdict on whether or not it is illegal, whether or not it's criminal, a crime to post a Bible verse online. What do you think of that? This isn't, I'm not talking about America. I'm not talking about Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about Finland. Why would it be a crime to post a Bible verse online? Folks, the governments of the world are being run by absolute Satanists. And we wonder why our system, why our country is in such big trouble. And I know it almost seems ridiculous, right? You don't have to be one of these ding-dongs that runs around quoting the Bible every day, but living a moral, decent life, that's something I think we could probably all support. And when you turn away from that, bad things happen. Not because God is punishing us, but because of the fact that when you stop doing good things, stop promoting goodness, then you start doing the opposite. Not you or me personally, but rather right, the collective consciousness. Look at our country. The homelessness is out of control. Out of control. Corporations are out of control. The government is out of control. Unbelievable. The military is out of control, right? And my example for that, this is a great one. I first off, right? I'm gonna do myself a favor again. I'm gonna have another Glenlivet 18 because it's Labor Day and I'm freaking exhausted. I hope you all have something to drink and you can pour yourselves a shot as well. Salute. Mother's milk. The military. You guys know I like to say Semper Fi because I was a jarhead. It was so many years ago, decades ago. But I still feel that, the military used to be the thing that people could look to for protection. Right? We would look to retired generals, right, that could provide, answers to military questions around the world. And what have we had here in America? Just a bunch of absolute abject morons who are destroying the military. And if that wasn't bad enough, we're now starting to hear about it from around the world. Other countries are doing the same things, folks. They're putting these retired army officers, retired military officers in front of the world to say the most stupid things ever. So a retired Australian general stood up in front of the world and said, Ukraine's army is the best in the world. And I just reread that while I'm deciding I needed a shot of scotch there. Ukraine's army isn't the best in the world. Did you know that? Why? Why is that? Well, because they're the only army that's really been out there fighting, and they've fought really hard, and they've been fighting for over a year now, and they've stood up to Russia. So that makes them the best military in the world, the best army in the world. I find it laughable, folks, but this is the mentality of people in charge, in the Pentagon, in government as well. Look at all the experience the Ukraine army is getting. Driving down a road at a row of Russian tanks and getting blasted to bits. There's no experience to be learned from there because everyone's dead. They're all dying, right? At the same time that this jackass is saying that Ukraine's army is the best in the world, shouldn't the Ukraine people just want to join up, sign up, and get into it then and go kick the shit out of the Russians? No, they're hiding throughout Europe, and of course, Ukraine is saying that they need to go get those draft dodgers and drag them back and put them in a uniform and force them to go be part of the best army in the world. That is horrifying, folks. Absolutely horrifying. But that is what's going on. That's what's going on. It's incredible, and it's not going to get any better. It truly isn't. It's just not going to get any better. Just unbelievable. Now, in military news out of Ukraine, Zelensky has now fired his defense minister, who has been, accused of being, shall we say, corrupt. I find this in itself to be offensive. But the reason Alexei Reznikov is supposed to be fired is his counter-offensives have failed. And believe it or not, the guy they're replacing him with has ties to Turkey and Erdogan down there. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. What is going on in this country? What is going on around the world? The Great Reset. I think it is now upon us. I truly do. And it's not just America. It's not just Europe. It's the rest of the world seems to have just fallen for this. And every time there's a voice of reason, every time there's like a voice of reason, they're silenced. And then when we finally hear something that sounds like it should be reasonable, it almost sounds laughable. For example, Hungary the nation of Hungary, wants security guarantees. They want Russia to calm down. They want no NATO membership for Ukraine. Right? In Hungary, Budapest, Hungary, they have blocked a new round of European Union funding for Ukraine and their war efforts. And all of that sounds really smart. Right? We're not going to give money to Ukraine. They're not going to get to be a part of NATO. We need Russia to stand down. Peace. Right? And then Viktor Orban, the prime minister of Hungary, says, quote, only Trump can save the Western world. And when I hear that, I'm thinking Trump is not the savior. Trump is just not doing stupid shit. I think it's going to take more than just not doing stupid shit to save the world at this point. What do you think? I mean, what do you really think is going on here? I don't think that, I don't believe that the World Economic Forum is getting enough credit for what they've managed to do. I don't think they have. I don't think they've done enough. I don't think they've gotten enough credit for what they've done to this world. And are we going to sit back and pretend that it's the political leadership? Or is it just one corporation spending a little too much money on a political candidate to make them say a certain thing? So the conclusion I've come to is if whatever powers that be are enough to cause Coca-Cola, Nike, Target, Adidas, Kohl's, Dick's Sporting Goods, and every other corporation out there that is woke, every hedge fund out there, including BlackRock, they've used their power and authority to try and shut this country down. All of us little individual ants out here, little people, they've done everything they can to control us. And they're still doing it. They're still not giving up. Even though we're boycotting them, we're not spending our money there. Yet they keep coming. I don't think we've given enough credit to the World Economic Forum. They've done one hell of a job. The banking cartels, same story. They're doing everything they can to destroy everything. And we're supposed to believe it's all just coincidence. Well, I don't believe in this coincidence. I don't. I truly don't. I think they're doing this on purpose. I think it is very well organized. And this argument's come up, and I've heard the argument that these people are not that stupid. By not that stupid, I'm talking about, I'm talking about the people in government. I mean, it's beyond ridiculous. Now, I know there's some dumbass politicians, Maxine Waters and Cory Bush and Bernie Sanders. I know there's some really stupid motherfuckers out there. And I'm sure there's just equally as stupid in Europe. But to believe that they're so stupid that they would go as far as they have and not turned around, like Germany trying to shut down their nuclear power plants when they're probably the best built, safest ones in the world. Yet they're making this asinine decision to shut it all down. How can they be that stupid? And I look back in history and I go, how can they be so stupid as to fight World War II? To have fought World War II, to push. How could they be so stupid as to fund the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia? How could they be so stupid as to fund Adolf Hitler? How could they be that stupid? And they were. How could they be so stupid as to create the Federal Reserve and then allow them to run rampant through the 1920s and then cause the giant crash of 1929 and then the Great Depression through the 1930s? How could they be that stupid and not learn their lessons? This is starting to remind me of my stupid pills discussion I had, was it a week and a half ago? One of the Zero Dark 30 podcasts was stupid pills. To believe everything they've told us, you'd have to take a handful of stupid pills. To believe that they're continuing to push everything they're pushing on us, you would have to take a handful of stupid pills. If they even make such things, they must. Or they're just doing it on purpose. Right? And that people have forgotten their history. How do you just forget your history? Okay, so you forget everyone else's. How about your own life? Now, here's a story I want to use to draw an example of that. I keep hearing that it's hotter than it's ever been. I don't fucking think so. It's so hot. It's climate change, right? They keep pushing it, and I'm starting to hear from intelligent people that we have climate change. Well, I know there is gradual climate change. There always have been. Hence, ice ages that come and go. We even had something called the mini ice age, folks, which lasted from about, the 1400s through the late 1800s, and some say even into the early 1900s. And it wasn't an ice age, it was just cold weather. Well, there's a kid, and his name was Joshua, basically Joshua, and he died. He died, and he's 12 years old. He had a heart attack during PE. Now, the family is blaming the sweltering heat. That's their quote, sweltering heat. They're blaming the heat in California. The temperature when little Joshua died was in the low to mid 90s. 90, 92, 94, low to mid 90s. Folks, when I was a kid in school, we played regardless of the heat outside. Now, after school, during the summer, we played baseball. Parents in attendance, sitting in the bleachers, watching in the sun when it was in the 90s and plus 100 degrees out. The hottest, folks, I remember playing baseball was 104, 105 degrees. Fucking hot as fuck, and we're out there playing baseball. At age 36, now we're leaving the early 1980s and we're going to the early 2000s. It was 2006. I was age 36. And the hottest day that I spent in extreme Northern California was 106.5 degrees. I was in that weather pouring concrete all day long. No problem. It wasn't fun. It was hot as fuck. I was sweating profusely, drinking a ton of water, Gatorade, etc., but it didn't kill me. But a 12-year-old boy dies from playing in the heat. But they want us to believe that it's the heat that killed him. They want us to believe that it is human climate change related problems. Right? The claim was that this kid Joshua started feeling unwell during the run that he was doing, or he's running around desperately, supposedly. He reached out, asked his teacher for water, asked him for help. Right? He was reaching out to the teacher saying he needed some water, said he couldn't breathe. And there it is, folks. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't breathe. He had a shortness of breath, which indicates pulmonary and cardio-related problems. Now, I'm not making this story about the Jim Jones juice. You can take a wild guess as to what happened to this young man if you wish. But there is some man-made problems out there, whether it's the banking system and how they're ruining the economies, whether it's the social system that they're ruining through education and then college, the way we interact as humans, the way Hollywood presents the world, the way they're telling us everyone needs to be gay. It's outrageous. The military system. They're telling us that, well, the military, they need to do social experimentation with transgenderism and then have the government pay for it while we send all of our bombs, rockets, and missiles over to Europe. Right? It's not the climate changing. It's this game that's being played with us, fucking the entire system up that has worked so well that now they want to have a huge experiment and play with the military, play with education, play with technology, play with the law. The law. Now you cannot, folks, have free speech. They want to play with medicine. And I'll tie this all back together with poor little Joshua, 12-year-old boy. I got a picture of Joshua here. He's a handsome little fellow. Looked rather healthy to me. How much you want to bet Jim Jones juice? I don't know for sure. I have zero confirmation. But I can take a wild guess. I can do it, folks. I can take a wild guess. A 12-year-old boy dying of a fucking cardiac arrest because he was playing outside. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable where this is all leading. Well, I tell you what, it's a holiday weekend. Getting some more messages from some of you guys here. You want to hear this? This is just fucking dandy. Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer is someone who is I'm just going to use the term investigative reporter who has been blacklisted, threatened, right? Unbelievable. She's discovered that one of the leaders of the Goyim Defense League. Goyim, folks, is a term that I find to be rather pejorative, rather negative. It's a term, it's a Yiddish term. Yiddish being a Jewish language in Europe. It's a Yiddish term for non-Jews, whites, if you will. So Laura Loom has said, hey, the leader of the Goyim Defense League, who has ties to the Anti-Defamation League, not only does he look like a trans fruitcake who wears makeup and a lot of it, but he's also a neo-Nazi skinhead who's been marching down in Orlando, Florida. I'm thinking of moving to Florida, folks. The hurricanes scare me a whole lot less than the rest of what the fuck is going on. Truly, folks. When I came back from the RMZ, came back from the land of roosters, and a lot of people thought the RMZ was a dangerous place. Right, every night or every other night there'd be gunshots, people blowing off explosive devices. I don't know what they were because I didn't go out to try and find out what the hell was going on. And it seemed rather crazy. I thought, if I'm going to live in a crazy place, why not there? But I thought, no, I need to come back to America and help fight. So that's why I came the fuck back, right? And then I started doing the GTFB and SB fund, the Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back fund. That fund is to keep me here in America. Well, I don't know if the United States of America is worth saving because the United States government is doing everything it can to destroy it. And there is a clear distinction for me between the two. Whew. I'll tell you what, I'm exhausted. I need some rest. Once again, working 3 jobs has kicked my ass. I want to thank you, though, for coming to Sunday Night Live at the zoo here. We had great turnout. In fact, right now, 361 people live. Uh-oh, shit. I got a super chat donation. I got to hold off. David G checks in. And he's got a $22.30 super chat donation. That's nice, David. Thank you. He says, John, thank you for helping me make the decision to get back home. It's been 1.5 years now, and I've been settling down and getting used to the heat. 45 minutes from daughter and grandchildren. Life is good, but it takes work. Thank you. That's an interesting story, David. I don't know where you were, but I'm glad you got back home. I'm glad you're very close to your daughter and your grandchildren. And yeah, fucks, man, it's getting hot. I got tired of the cold in extreme Northern California. After 50 years of that, I was like, I needed to take this RMZ jungle challenge. And it was, I did it for personal reasons. Not just because some of you guys on here challenged me, oh man, you're no Marine. You couldn't survive out in the jungle. You can't do this. You can't do that. There was some of that. But it was also just to have a little bit of adventure in life. See if I could handle it. And it was freaking hot there, folks. No fan, no air conditioning, and ultimately had a little beer cooler, basically, that ran off the solar panel. And man, what a great adventure that was. And if times were better, if it was a different world, I could have stayed there. Right? I could have done a lot of different things from there. There wasn't a whole lot of what I would call government that was going to stop me from doing what I was doing. As long as everyone got their palms greased, everyone was fine. But it was time to get back home to the United States, not the government, the United States of America. Whether your United States of America is Wyoming or Arizona or Tennessee or Maine or Pennsylvania or Florida or Mississippi, it doesn't matter. Whatever your United States of America is, I hope that you're ready to defend it. Right? I think the South is going to probably end up doing some stuff. Thank you very much, David, for the great donation. We're in trouble. Big trouble. We're in big trouble here. And they're not going to let up. They're going to continue to abuse us and the system. I want you prepared. Get used to the heat, get used to the cold, get used to hard times, get used to hardships. And understand and remember, always understand this. As hard as it is for you, everyone else out there, all these ding-dongs, it's going to be even harder because they are not going to have the food that you have put up. They're going to have much lower value food, lower calories, lower nutrition. Done. They're not going to have water the way you have water. They're going to have unsanitary water. They're going to get their form of dysentery. They're going to get stomach flu. They're going to what they think is stomach flu. They're going to get poisoned by their own water. They're going to get giardia. They're going to get E. coli poisoning. You've got food and water. You're going to have a huge advantage. Yeah, if you think the heat is bad to you, imagine someone who has this either, and pardon the grossness of this topic, they're going to either have diarrhea or vomiting or both. They're going to be absolutely dehydrated. And then to throw heat on top of that, they're not going to be very functional. We're going to be dealing with a bunch of desperate, criminal, starving, thirsty, dehydrated zombies if it gets really bad in any one particular area. And I haven't even gotten into medicine, have I? Or self-defense. Do you think some zombie fruitcake is going to be able to aim a pistol and hit you? If you have proper food, nutrition, energy, water to keep you hydrated, and you have an understanding of what's going on, so you're not operating from a point of fear, but rather making intelligent conversations, right? You're going to have your shit together while others around you are falling apart. Yeah, the world can get very, how do we say this? Get very primitive really fast, primitive mentality. And again, primitive skills, thinking skills, primitive skills in dealing with your environment. Once again, I got to throw a shout out to Rudy at the Urban Aboriginal on YouTube. The guy's got it together. There's going to be a lot of primitive skills. And primitive skills also includes thinking and working with other people, right? People that you're going to be dealing with are going to be not operating at high function levels. They're going to be working at very basic function levels. They're going to be worried about food, worried about water. That's the level they're functioning at. They're working at Maslow's hierarchy, the lowest level of that. That's where they'll be functioning at. So you're going to have to deal with them at that level. Their interest is going to be food, water, shelter. Your interest is going to be a little higher. Right? How do I protect myself, my family? On top of just getting the basics taken care of. But being prepped means you don't have to worry about that. That's what it means. You don't have to worry about that. Not to the extent everyone else will. That's what being prepared is. That's what it means when you keep up with all of this, so you're ready for it. I want to thank you guys all again. Thank you for the great donations. Thank you for showing up en masse. Thank you for helping one another, looking out for one another. Godspeed, Semper Fi. I'll see you guys, well, tomorrow on Labor Day. I'll see you then. You guys be cool, be safe. And here we go.